Welcome one, welcome all to the Link Studios overlooking Caesars Palace. Tyler Fulgham, Joe Fortenbaugh, your latest installment of Bet, the red-hot Rory McIlroy. What are his chances at Klawah Island for the PGA Championship next week? Michael Collins will join us today. The final installment of DFFS, or is it? Somebody's back is against the wall. And, of course, we've got NBA Pick'em. This guy is red-hot after what he did on Monday. If you're looking for some NFL content regarding the schedule release that took place yesterday, check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting.
Red hot is apropos given my regalia today. You look fantastic.
I was going to say, you look great.
I don't know what size your noggin is, Kevin Minch, but it appears you could not quite fit the strap underneath the jowls there.
The question is it a head problem or is it a third chin problem preventing me from strapping this together?
Only you can answer that, my friend. Only you can. But I tell you what, with that shirt, it is a very Las Vegas and a fantastic look for you, Brother Fortenbaugh.
Yeah, same and right back at you. We are going to have extraordinary posture today.
I tell you what,
falling off of our heads.
I've never felt better. I don't think I've ever looked better on this episode of Bet. So I think I'm ready for perhaps the best show of Bet I've had in my life.
You may be asking why we look a tad bit different today. Remember, it's Las Vegas week here on Bet. 116 years ago, this week, this fabulous city was founded in 1905. So we're going to play a little Las Vegas trivia. What happened in Vegas is the term and the phrase we'll be using. That's at the end of the show.
And I'm glad that theme is part of the show this week and today because it's very convenient for me. Right after the show, I'll be heading across the street to Caesars to try out wearing this for Usher's residency there. I'm going to be a backup dancer.
You are more likely to end up on the bridge between the two hotels dancing for dollar bills.
I can charge for pictures, right?
Yeah, you can. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can
charge for anything.
I don't even have to win bets today. I could just make some money out on the strip like this.
All right, here we go. Let's start with DFFS. We told you the daily Fulgham showdown, DFS style. This is the final week of the NBA regular season.
It is.
Fortenbaugh holds a 7-6 edge through 13 weeks. So here's how this is going to play. If you can beat me tonight, we're tied at 7, and we're going to go to overtime in the playoffs. I'm able to win tonight. We are done, and we'll be turning our attention to baseball at some point in the near future.
Hate that idea, but I like how it's kind of putting the pressure on me here. So let's take a look at my lineup. We got to have a winner. It starts with two guys that are questionable right now, so I may need to, Brother Fortenbaugh, switch them out, though. Looks like Trae Young is likely going to play at that point guard spot. Karis LeVert, he along with Domantas Sabonis anchoring my team. Massive total north of 240 against Milwaukee with everyone out in Indy. Those are the only two guys that are playing, 38 to 42 minutes, and getting all the production. Then I got a lot of Toronto Raptors in my lineup. I'm sure you're the same because everyone is out. Since they're out of the postseason, I got guys I've never heard of before, like DeAndre Brimby, Fred Gillespie, Malachi Flynn, and Jalen Harris. And then I got one king, Chimezie Metu, because, again, a lot of kings will be missing their matchup tonight against the Grizz.
All right, there it is. Will that lineup be enough to keep him alive against this lineup right here? And as you'll notice, several Toronto Raptors tonight. I'm going with 4. Flynn, Trent, Johnson, and Bembry for a grand total of $19,400. Yep. You might be asking why you want so many Toronto Raptors on your team. Brace yourselves. Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, OG Anunoby, Rodney Hood, Paul Watson, Aaron Baines, all out for Toronto. They're resting pretty much the entire lineup. Good prices for a lot of players who are going to get high usage rates tonight. That gave me the opportunity to spend big in 2 locations. Nikola Jokic, who's going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the absolute worst defenses in the NBA, and Julius Randle of the New York Knickerbockers, because if this is the final one, I want to go down with some Knicks. Nerlens Noel is in there as well, and Jaren Jackson. I think you're getting a pretty good price for a guy who's averaging 14 points per game, but has only played 9 games this season due to injury. Best of luck to you, sir.
Best of luck to you and all your daily fantasy endeavors, my friend.
All right, so now we switch gears to NBA Pick'em. 4 games coming your way. This guy is red hot. Last week, we both went 7-4. The show went 14-8 combined. Very profitable. Right now, for this week, the show is 4-4. Thankfully, this young man's 3-1. I am 1-3. I told you I was betting the Jazz, knowing they would lose to the Warriors, and they went ahead and lost to the Warriors.
Why'd you bet the Jazz?
Because I could not resist. I could not resist. All right, first game out. Clippers laying 8, total of 220.5. They're in Charlotte, taking on LaMelo Ball and the Hornets.
Boy, I like this a lot more about 2 hours ago when the total was 223.5. It's down to 220.5. I'll still go under that. The biggest reason why I'm playing the under still and like it is because the Clippers have been an under machine as of late. When the total was at 223.5, the Clippers had played 9 consecutive games without going over 224 points. The last time they had a game where they had 224 or more points, it was 420, April 20th, against the Portland Trailblazers, and they got high enough to the total of 225 in that game. So Portland, one of the best offenses in the NBA, was only able to lift the Clippers to a total of 225. We know Charlotte is not that offensively capable. They're 21st in the NBA in offensive rating. The Clippers, again, 9 straight games under 223.5. I know it's down to 220, but some of these games have been in the 209, 205 range. They play a slow brand of basketball. They play good defense. Charlotte offense not quite good enough to make me want to do this, so I'll stay under 220.5, even though it's come down 3 points since I wanted to play it.
Puns so thick you can barely see through the room. Nicely done. My friend, I'm right here with you. I am playing the under as well. Sent it in this morning at 225 at like 5:30 in the morning, and it's dropped since, but we're still going to take a shot on this.
Absolutely.
Couple things to add on. Tyler did a wonderful job of laying this out. Of the last 21 Clippers games, 5 have gone over the total. Only 5, because they've been playing a better brand of defense as of late, and they already play good defense. Check this out. 4th in the NBA this season in points allowed at 107.8. Over the last 10 games, that's dropped to 105.6. That might not seem great, but in today's NBA, giving up 105 points per game is outstanding. Quietly, Charlotte's not really a slouch on defense either. 11th in points allowed, 15th in defensive rating, and both teams rank 18th or slower in pace. So I'm right there with you. We're in agreement. We're going with the under in the Clippers and the Hornets. Game number 2. The Milwaukee Bucks are laying 8. Total is 243 as they are in Indiana taking on the Pacers.
We're expecting a lot of points in this game, clearly. I mentioned how Domantas Sabonis was anchoring my DraftKings lineup.
Yes, you did.
I am going to go over 42.5 points, assists, and rebounds for Sabonis. That's par. If you take a look at his game log since he's come back, Joe, this guy has been an absolute menace. Had a triple-double his last game out, 16, 13, 15. 21, 20, and 9 the game prior to that. Another 30-point triple-double prior to that. 38 and 9 the game before that. A modest 17, 13, and 8. A 32, 19, and 9. And then the 26, 19, 14 game, triple-double, where he played just 29 minutes against OKC when they won by 50 points. He's playing close to 40 minutes per game in competitive games because Indy's trying to change their seeding in the playoff play-in, especially if Karis LeVert can't go tonight. Everything runs through Sabonis, way over 42.5.
I haven't come across that many numbers since I saw Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind.
Oh, man.
So that's a nice little comparison for you there. Hopefully the same ending does not befall you, but it's a tremendous movie. Unless you go out and win an Oscar and then, you know, it's the Russell Crowe rather than John Nash.
We might get an Oscar for our fits today.
Whew, I got to tell you, my head is starting to hurt. It took a lot to get this big melon inside this little hat. All right. I'm going to play the over here at 243. This is something Tyler turned me on to not too long ago. Indiana and the pace at which they're playing as of late. Let's go through Indiana's last 10 games. Here are the total points scored in those 10 games. 243, 245, 243, 247, 295.
Huh?
That is not a mistake. 197, 259, 265, 213, 197. They are 5th in pace and 25th in points allowed. That plays well to an over. There might not be any team in the NBA more accommodating of high-scoring games than the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 1 in points per game, 21st in points allowed, 3rd in pace. I will play the over here.
I believe that game of 295 was against the Wizards, and it did not go to overtime.
It's just a standard 48-minute game.
Did not go to overtime.
Incredible. It's like an all-star game, minus the all-stars. All right, here we go. Game number 3. The Miami Heat are laying 2.5, total of 217.5. They're going to host the Philadelphia 76ers. A couple things to note here. Joel Embiid, questionable, sickness, non-COVID related, missed the game on Tuesday due to it. Jimmy Butler, also questionable, eye contusion, took a shot a couple nights ago. I think it was against Boston, maybe. They're not sure if he's going to go.
Boston the last 2
This was a pick'em. It is moved to Miami minus 2.5. So for what it's worth, take that information. What are you doing?
I'll lay it with the Heat. I believe...
I'm trying to nod. I don't want this to fall off.
I believe they come into this game with more motivation than the 76ers. Even though the 76ers can clinch that first spot in the Eastern Conference with a win, they still have a couple more opportunities to do so. Meanwhile, Atlanta, Miami, and New York essentially have the same record, vying for the 4th, 5th, and 6th spot. What matters there? Well, if you get into the top 4, you are guaranteed home court through the first 2 rounds of the postseason. And I imagine ownership for these franchises, especially Atlanta and New York, want as many home games as they can despite capacity limitations because they haven't been to the postseason collecting that extra revenue in decades. Almost, not quite. But you get my point there, I think.
Yes.
Miami more motivated than the 76ers because Philadelphia will have extra opportunities to nail down the 1 seed.
Interesting. I'm going to take the Sixers plus 2.5. I don't love it, but my rationale is similar to yours, only flipped a little bit. It all comes down to motivation. Even if you don't have Joel Embiid, here's what I want you to look at for this game, okay? Miami has avoided the play-in game. There is no chance they end up as the 7th seed, and to me, that might creep into your mind as something you were worried about, especially in those back-to-back games against Boston, who was competing for that 6th seed as well. And you might think to yourself, we avoided the play-in tournament, we're good, whoo! And they lose a little focus in tonight's game against the Sixers team that's a game and a half up on Brooklyn and desperately wants to get that number 1 seed. Tyler's right. They can get the number 1 seed by winning down the stretch. They don't have to win this game tonight, but I think you get more focus from Philly than Miami because now that Miami has avoided the play-in tournament or structure, whatever we call it, they're going to be a little bit complacent. That's where my bet is. It's small. It's on Philadelphia. Game number 4, biggest game of the night. The Phoenix Suns are laying 4.5 points. Totals 234.5. They're hosting the red-hot Portland Trailblazers, who have won 9 of 10.
Give me Otto Dame over 27.5 points. A big reason why the Portland Trailblazers are so hot. Dame Lillard has gone over 30 points. 30! He just needs 28 to clear the threshold tonight, but he's gone over 30 in 5 of his last 6, including last night in that win over Utah, and in what was a low-scoring game. I think they only scored 105 points, and he had 30-plus. Phoenix? Known all season long as a good defensive team. That's been slipping as of late. Phoenix is a bottom 3rd defensive rating team over the last 10 to 15 games.
Yeah.
Their defense has slipped big time, and I've lost a lot of money on it playing the unders. Now I'm starting to recognize that trend. Even though Chris Paul still respect him as an on-ball defender, Dame is a guy who can score on anyone with his range, so I'll go at least 28 points tonight against the Suns.
I like it. Of the 4 we've talked about, this is my favorite bet right here. I am going to lay the 4.5 with Phoenix for 2 very key reasons. Number 1, mentioned how Portland has won 9 of their last 10 games. Who was the game they lost? Atlanta. Where did it take place? On the road. What was the situation? Portland was playing their 5th game in 7 days. Oh, what do we have here? A road game for Portland, 5th game in 7 days, second half of a back-to-back as they won at Utah in altitude last night. Flip side, Phoenix is not only rested, take note, this is Phoenix's final home game of the year. I think there's something to that. Maybe not a lot, but it's the last chance to put on your hometown. Even if you don't have fans in the building, it's something special for how well they have played this season. I'm laying the 4.5 with the Phoenix Suns' big bounce-back spot. Which brings us to the good word. Something we like to play every single week. A statement is read. The first word that pops into your mind, you write it down, and you explain why. Here we go. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who would have thought they would have gotten into the show today, went 1-15 last season. And yet, they are a 2.5-point road favorite at Houston in week 1. Your word, sir, or madam.
Yes, madame.
Madame.
You think maybe my handwriting gets better with the regalia on my head since it's so classy?
You should have better posture,
but
so yes.
It's not. It's still bad handwriting.
Dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional is the word here. That is how dysfunctional the Texans are, given the scenario that Joe laid out for you, that they are a home dog to this Jaguars team. They hired a coach that no one's heard of. They're all-everything quarterback. Doesn't look like he's going to play this season as he is embroiled in legal issues off of the field. And it's not just that. There's dysfunction layered at every level of this Texans franchise, all the way up to the top. There's mistrust within that building, and now you have this issue with Watson. They weren't even good last year when Watson was playing. I don't know if he's going to play this year. I imagine they're going to be even more dysfunctional. So that is the word I choose to use in this scenario. the Texans are garbage.
Very good word, and I like the breakdown as well. I am going to go with, and I like the fact that we have the red today.
Yeah, you can go blue. You know, you
sediment.
Can up.
Sediment. Have you ever done a wine tasting out of a bottle?
Yes.
Out of a barrel as well. Some bottles don't get filtered as well. You get the sediment at the bottom.
Exactly.
Some barrels, if you check them at the bottom, there's sediment. That's what this game is. It is the bottom of the barrel where the sediment resides because of all the week one matchups. This one is terrible. All right? Absolutely terrible. First off, rookie quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence will be a rookie quarterback starting for the Jacksonville Jaguars. In week one are 11-6-1 against the spread over the last 10 years. Interesting. But they're just 6-11-1 outright, meaning as a favorite, he would need to win this game, and it hasn't been very favorable. I don't trust Urban Meyer just yet. I'm not going to lay points with this team. If anything, I would take the gamble now that Watson plays, which, by the way, it got really quiet on that front. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was news every day. Yeah. Now it's been quiet. I would take the 2.5 for a little bit on the Houston Texans. Good word. Number 2, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are currently dead last in the American League West, but they have the favorite and second favorite in American League MVP odds on their roster in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
Typical McCaskill. I mean, that is exactly what we've come to expect the past decade from this team. They've had Mike Trout. They've had Josh Hamilton. Remember the talent that he was?
Yes.
They brought in Albert Pujols, albeit at the end of his career. Now they have Shohei and Trout, Anthony Rendon, and they still haven't done jack squat. Not even win a single playoff game during Trout's tenure with the team. This is very typical of this Angels franchise.
Very nicely done. I think we're going to be somewhat aligned, different words, but similar thoughts. My word for this situation,
California.
I was blowing that one. I still feel like I spelled that wrong.
You got it.
Regardless, you get
California.
The point. The word is California. The Angels are located in California, and quite frankly, I don't think anyone cares that they have all this firepower and they don't win. That's just how life is out there. You have really good weather, you have the beaches, you have Hollywood, you have lots to do. I'm not saying you're bad sports fans. I'm just saying you don't get as angry as other places who have less to do. This would never fly in the Bronx. This would never fly in Boston. In fact, it almost didn't, and then the Red Sox came out hot and started winning games. It would never fly in Philadelphia. It would never fly in Chicago, St. Louis, and Cardinals fans. You think you're one? You think they would be okay with this? To have all this talent? So ultimately, it doesn't matter. Artie Moreno, the ownership group, they don't care. There's no pressure. No pressure from the media, no pressure from the fan base.
And the media doesn't hold this team accountable.
And let me tell you something. For Ohtani, if you don't like it, too bad. You could have gone anywhere. You weren't drafted. You chose the Angels. All right, finally, after last week's win at Quail Hollow, Rory McIlroy is your 10-1 favorite to win next week's PGA Championship at Klawah Island.
Headlong, not headstrong, which we need to have strong heads to wear these
Headlong.
things on our headlong. If you look up the dictionary, Joe, it says in a rush or with reckless haste. Now let me get to what I mean here. Much like Rory's swing getting all out of whack because he was trying to chase speed and chase distance to keep up with Bryson DeChambeau. I think if you're running to bet on Rory right now at the PGA, that's a little headlong because he's always won at Quail Hollow. That's his third time he's won at this event. So it's a track where he's had success. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in haste to bet him as a favorite at the PGA Championship. I'd like to see him do it at a place where he hasn't had that comfort to know that the swing is fully back into the smooth Rory groove.
All right, headlong, I am going to go with narrative. Okay. Because here it comes. Rory's back. He won at Quail Hollow where he's had a lot of success. And guess where this PGA Championship is being held? Klawah Island. When was the last time it was held at Klawah Island? 2012. Who was the winner in 2012? Rory McIlroy. Who was too drunk in Madison, Wisconsin at a wedding and almost missed the whole event? This guy. But that's neither here nor there. I did it in a responsible manner.
There.
But I do remember being in Madison, Wisconsin, a fine and lovely town.
Did you have a Rory
in the
ticket?
summer months? No, I did not. And I sat there and I watched him win. Just like last week where I said bet against him and he ended up winning the tournament.
I'll be damned.
So my word means pretty little. I would say this. If you liked Rory, you knew coming into this event the narrative was going to be that he's won at Klawah before. So you could have bet him at much better odds like Tyler was telling you about prior to the Quail Hollow win. The volume, the value, gone. What you should consider, guys like John Rahm, who no one's talking about now. You can get him at 12-1. Rory's as low as 7-1 at some shops here in town. Believe it or not. All right. Michael Collins was going to join us on today's show. Former PGA Tour caddy, covers the tour for ESPN. He got wind of what we looked like, so disgusted, might not be coming on the show. We're negotiating with him behind the scenes to see if we can get him on. So we're going to go to the quiz. And today's quiz is all about why we're wearing these headsets. Las Vegas week continues. This is called What Happened in Vegas. Remember? 116 years ago, this great city was founded. 6 multiple choice questions. We're going to be working together to figure out some of our city's great history.
My mom and our bosses are watching this. Do we have to answer honestly?
Yeah, you're going to have to answer honestly.
With what happened in Vegas? I don't know.
Not
if I feel
to you.
Oh.
You can leave all of that behind the very private closed doors of your Instagram account. All right, here we go. What was the first hotel in Las Vegas? The Golden Nugget, the Golden Gate, the Golden Goose, or Golden Girls?
Process of elimination.
Let's go ahead and get Golden Girls out of there.
Golden Girls or Golden Goose.
Okay. So it's the Gate or the Nugget. I don't know. I'm going to be honest, I don't know. If I'm going to make a guess here, I would side with the Nugget.
I would as well.
If it's the Golden Gate to the west.
Is there even a Golden Gate? There's a West Gate.
There is a Golden Gate.
There's a Golden Gate.
We're going to go with the Golden Nugget.
I think we're trying to be punked here with Golden. It is Golden Gate. Yeah, I knew we were getting punked there.
Just like the bar exam, we were able to narrow it down to the 2 key ones, but we blew it in the 50-50. All right, number 2.
We're getting punked there.
Number 2. I'm going to go have dinner at the Golden Nugget tonight just to prove a point. What year was gambling legalized in Nevada? 21, 26, 31, or 35? I mean, 26 was when the market crashed, so maybe they were like, let's bring it in.
I would say the 20s, while that depression was happening, makes little sense. But immediately coming out of it in 31 to juice revenues, things like, I don't know, does that make sense? Are you following my logic here?
I'm seeing the logic. It's like, hey, everyone's got their money back. Let's go ahead and take it from them. I could also see it as the market has collapsed.
31 or 35, you take it.
35.
5. And the survey says...
Damn, you had it. You had it.
Yes,
Great job. I don't know why I said 35.
Gravy.
Maybe subconsciously I was betting against you there, and I should not have. I apologize.
Hold on.
All right, 0 for 2. Question number 3. See, my brain is being squeezed inside this hat. The first showgirl
appeared. Well, wasn't that like 94,
How are we
95?
supposed to know the...
Isn't that when the first showgirl?
57, 58, 59, 60. I was born more than 20 years after this.
Same for me.
I don't know. Take a stab. I have no leg to stand on here. I'm 0 for 2.
The first showgirl appeared in 60. In 60. Yeah.
All right. That sounds good to me. 1960.
7. Gosh, crazy.
Why are we being asked to guess years that were decades before our existence? I never took a history class on this stuff. Question number 4.
Let's see here. Oldest gambling game.
All right, this is a good question. Blackjack, baccarat, roulette, or
Is it
poker?
baccarat old school? I don't play it. I would say baccarat or roulette.
Well, here's the thing. Is it the
Or is
oldest
it card
gambling game
game?
in Vegas
Cards
or
are
like
older.
Asia?
Cards are older than...
I would lean to poker. That's where I would lean. I don't feel great about it, but it feels like poker's been around a very long time.
Yeah,
it also feels like the others have been.
Card game, maybe roulette's stupid because cards have been around longer than roulette wheels.
Okay, so maybe we deduce that. Baccarat or blackjack, do you feel confident with either of those? I feels like baccarat or poker.
Yeah, that's what I would say, baccarat or poker.
All right, you want to take baccarat? I blew it on the last one.
I want to take baccarat. Yeah, I want to take baccarat.
All right, let's go with baccarat.
Yeah!
Hey! Thank God!
I'm ready for...
We needed to grab at least one
I'm
there.
ready for the stage, baby.
All right, number 5. I am doing terrible at this.
Biggest slot machine win of all time, 2003. I'm going to say $12 million.
Who made a $100 bet on a slot?
27, 35, and 39 is too much. I want to say $12 million.
It's not 12, 22.
Oh, 20. I'm going to say, 22. I'm going to say the lowest.
You're going to go with the lowest one at 20? I mean, mega bucks.
Wait, hold on. What is do we have a mathematical payout for slot machines? Like on roulette, obviously, what's the most best odds you
It depends on which machine you're going with, because you have mega bucks, which is a continuous.
All right, I won't go
progressive.
22, then I'll go 27.
All right, 27. You've been hot. I'll go with 27 as well. 27 million.
It was
39 million. Someone won
Holy
$39 million on a slot machine. Oh my God. I'm sure the owner of the casino was like, oh, we're so happy for you behind the scenes. How could it happen here? Final question coming your way right now. If you're watching at home, we apologize. Which of these casinos did Lefty Rosenthal not manage? Lefty Rosenthal, for those of you who may not know, is the character Robert De Niro played in the movie Casino. Sam Ace Rothstein. Lefty Rosenthal.
Casino.
First of all, what was the hotel that Ace Rothstein? It was the Tangiers, right? The Tangiers.
So that sounds like Riviera or Hacienda.
I don't even know if Hacienda was one. I know Stardust was a legendary one. Riviera, Fremont's downtown.
I'm going to say Hacienda, he did not.
All right, Hacienda, I'm going to let you go. You've been hot, so we'll go with Hacienda. I'm going to say Stardust. I'm just going to throw Stardust out there.
Ziggy?
Go ahead.
It was the Riv.
The Riv. Yes, we're both wrong. The Riviera.
Well, I tell you what. I've only lived here for 8 months, so that's
okay.
Still getting my toes wet.
I've only lived here on 2 different occasions, so I'm not going to take any blame for that. Vegas, we apologize, but fear not. We've spent plenty of money in your fine establishments all over town. We are good patrons. We may not know your history, but we do know the history of giving you money in the casinos, and damn it, that is the legacy.
39 million
of this
right
town.
here, Joe.
You did. All right. Perhaps there's no better way to transition into sucker bet than talking about these 2 suckers and how much we've already donated to these fine establishments, especially Caesar's Palace, since we've been here. One sucker bet for the people, a bet they should be aware of and possibly stay away from over the next few days.
All right, I'm going to go to the association tonight. Let's get it out of the way. Get your money tonight. The Orlando Magic. I know no one's rushing to the window to bet the Orlando Magic, but they're getting 13.5 points against the Atlanta Hawks. And as Joe said, you may think, well, the Hawks, the Knicks, the Miami Heat, they've avoided the play-in game, so they'll throttle back here a little bit. I think it's the opposite. I think especially Atlanta and especially New York are vying to have that coveted 4th spot in the Eastern Conference standings because it guarantees home court at least into the second round of the NBA postseason, or the first round, I should say, not into the second round, but it guarantees in the first round home court an extra game there. Orlando's been just wretched. Only really Oklahoma City's been worse over the last month and a half of the season. They have a net rating of -10 points over the last 10 games, and they've lost 5 straight games by 10+ points. So don't get suckered into thinking the Red Atlanta Hawks, with Trae Young being questionable going into today but likely going to play, are going to peel back off the throttle against a team they should beat by double digits. Go ahead and lay with the Atlanta Hawks. Do not jump on the other side. Do not be a sucker and back the Orlando Magic. It's Trae Young and the Hawks tonight. They're going to put the beat down on Orlando.
Whoa! I thought this whole time the sucker bet was going to be backing the Hawks against the loser Magic.
No.
This has gone down from 14 to 12.5.
Doesn't scare me.
Okay, interesting.
Doesn't scare me. Don't be a sucker. Don't be a sucker and bet on the Orlando Magic. Don't do it. The Hornets, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Cavs, these teams, don't bet on them. Not at this point in the season.
All right. A reminder, Daily Wager normally at 6 p.m. Eastern is bumped up today, 5 p.m. Eastern. That game may be discussed as well as some of the others. Mine is UFC 262 Saturday in Las Vegas, Nevada. Actually, I don't believe it's in Nevada. It's in Houston this weekend. And Dana White said it's an all-time record-breaking gate with how much they sold. Tony Ferguson, the legend, is +145 against Beneil Dariush. Okay? A lot of people are going to see that, and they're going to say, Tony Ferguson at plus money? He's a legend. I'm going to play Tony Ferguson. Go with Dariush. Lay the bigger number. Ferguson was fantastic. He had won 12 straight fights. He was on top of the world, but he's 37 years old, and after that 12-fight winning streak, he's lost each of his last 2, and he didn't look good in either of them. Sometimes fighters just fall off the cliff, and right now, I think that's what we're seeing with the legend, Tony Ferguson. I think he's falling off the cliff. Meanwhile, Dariush, 6-fight win streak. 4 of those 6 fights have ended by some form of stoppage, either knockouts, technical knockouts, or submissions. This guy is a pit bull. He is an animal. He will come right at you. This is his big moment to take down a legend and then to vault himself higher in the rankings as he works towards a title shot. It's tempting to take Tony Ferguson at plus money. Don't do it. Beneil Dariush is the play. All right.
Like that good return.
My head is killing me. How's your head feel?
My head's all right. I guess mine's a little lighter, and I actually
tight,
feel like
so heavy.
I feel like I could kind of float a little bit if I like jumped off a ledge.
Fly away.
Gravity would eventually take hold, but I feel like I could kind of float down to land softly if I just kind of.
There you go. Look at that. You would be fantastic. Maybe we should get you a tryout at Australian Thunder from Down Under.
Ooh, yes.
Find out Monday if they actually goes through with it. Tyler Fulgham, Joe Fortenbaugh. Collins blew us off. Can you believe us?
Unbelievable,
Have a great
Patty.
weekend. We'll see you Monday.